Manchester United have just announced the sacking of Erik ten Hag from his role as first team coach manager of Manchester United. Now, it wasn't just 24 hours ago I was releasing a video explaining how bad Manchester United were and the reality of how bad the situation was. And I titled the previous video A Message to Ineos. Safe to say, the message was heard. They heard the message loud and clear from not just myself, many others in the fan base who felt as though, although we must be honest, it gave us some good highs, some great moments, some good days out at Wembley, Carabao Cup 2 seasons ago, FA Cup last season, brilliant days out. They were fantastic highs. And there were other highs, like for example beating Barcelona in the Europa League comes to mind as a really, really good game under Erik ten Hag. But even City at home as well. But if we're being honest, the writing was on the wall for a long time. They should have probably pulled the trigger in the summer. They didn't. And although there was a lot of rumblings beginning to be people who started looking at Ineos and saying, you're seeing the situation and you're not acting, this is almost a bit of a red flag. I was sure and certain they would make the decision that's best for Manchester United. Looking forward, it seems as though the coaching staff will remain the same. The only change will be that Ruud van Nistelrooy is now in charge of Manchester United. Now, that begs the question I'm sure you're all asking is, what does Ruud van Nistelrooy bring as a coach? Now, at PSV, he coached the team to win in the Dutch FA Cup. The Dutch Cup that they actually won against Ajax. And the main thing that I get from him, we've seen a video where he is very, very, has a good relationship with his players. So that takes the management side of things from what is apparent. He also had to deal with losing players in the middle of a season. Cody Gakpo going to Liverpool, Noni Madueke going to Chelsea in the January of last season. So he had to deal with that. But what he's shown is that, for example, let's take the example of Xavi Simons at PSV under Ruud van Nistelrooy. He had lost Cody Gakpo, who is more of a player who can hold the width on the left-hand side, and found that Xavi Simons is obviously a player that can affect the game and is a brilliant player, but is better in central areas in the pitch. So he made the tactical change of obviously Van Aanholt being the one that provides the width on the left-hand side, with Xavi Simons being someone that tucks in. So what did that tick for me? Profiling of players. These are two of the most basic things. If you boil down coaching to two things, some people overcomplicate it at times. It's obviously having good players, but profiling those good players well and managing them well emotionally. If we're talking about coaching, that is really the crux of the situation. And that is two things in my previous videos on this YouTube channel, which you can check out. I spoke about Ten Hag failing in these two attributes. We saw the likes of Rashford being out wide and being a touchline winger when we know he gets most of his goals from areas in between the fullback and centre-half. The profiling of even someone like Xerxes in certain games didn't make sense. Even the profiling of Lisandro Martinez, someone who is not adept in defending big wide areas, but was asked to do that on multiple occasions. So, the story of Ten Hag is over. The reasons why Ten Hag was sacked were clear and evident and have been mentioned in previous videos. Ruud van Nistelrooy is showing potentially that there could be an opportunity for us to see him given an audition from now until the end of the season. How good are you as a manager dealing with a big club? Because managing PSV and managing Manchester United are two whole different beasts. The amount of scrutiny on you, the level of pressure, the level of noise from the media is going to be doubled, tripled and quadrupled in terms of what Ruud faced in PSV. But there are also other options, and a lot of other links have been surfacing, not just today, but also in previous reports of new managers that have been touted and looked at by the ownership. Other couple reasons why Erik ten Hag, also stuff like the quotes about denying the Tottenham Hotspur game, stuff like that. You can't be saying stuff like that. It's very, very bad image for you as a Manchester United manager. And it looks as though the ownership is looking at the situation and is almost being forced into a decision. Hold that there. Yeah, so the feeling from the ownership was, comparing to last season, obviously everybody understood that the performances were low, but there were a lot of injuries last year. So the onus was given on Ten Hag, understood, you had a bad situation, we must see improvement this season. And unfortunately, the judgment of the ownership was that there hasn't been enough of an improvement, an upward trend from them to be able to actually quantify that there's progress here. They hasn't been able to see in the numbers or the eye test that anything's been going right for Manchester United under Ten Hag. Has there been slight and marginal improvement? Yes, but it varies during games, and I spoke about this in my previous video as well. So they felt obviously that Ten Hag has kind of shot himself in the foot with his lack of progress going into the season. But like I was saying, other names that are involved. Julian Nagelsmann, the current German national team manager, obviously has the World Cup 2026 to look forward to. And if he were to take the Manchester United job, it would mean that would no longer be possible. So it's unlikely. I think it'd be very tough to get Nagelsmann out of that job, because obviously it's a dream job for him to be German national team manager, as well as all the previous jobs that he's had. This will be one that he has as one of his most important jobs. Other names that have been involved. Thomas Frank of Brentford, we can't ignore it. The name has been mentioned, and there has been actual links to it. I don't believe that Gareth Southgate will be considered as an England manager at any point in time, regardless of his relationship with Dan Ashworth in his previous role as the head of the FA. I don't think that Gareth Southgate will be considered. Other potential names, you look at Stuttgart manager Sebastian Hoeneß, who has done well in the Champions League so far, done well with Stuttgart. He's another one to look at as an up-and-coming manager. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel is gone now as the England manager, so that was going to be someone who managed elite clubs. But the main point is, summer's coming up. The summer is where I expect the appointment for a new manager to be. If Ruud does a good enough job to manage the team for the rest of the season, I'm sure that he'll be considered as an audition. If it doesn't go so well for Ruud, I project that Ineos will have a decision to make in the winter, where they will have to look at the situation and say, we have to make a decision based on who we want to be the long-term manager of this new project at Manchester United going forward. So it seems it's also been revealed that within the Manchester United emergency meeting that happened a couple of weeks ago, the board gave a green light to Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth, who are the shot callers for the footballing side of the club. They were given a green light that if results do not improve, if things do not get better, then they have the ability to pull the plug on Erik ten Hag. And as I say, not much else is going to change in terms of the coaching staff. Rene Haka will still be there. The only change will be that the first team manager will be, for the foreseeable future, Ruud van Nistelrooy. And be honest, I'm optimistic about the situation. I was always been asked about, what do you think about getting rid of Ten Hag, and who should we go for? And the reality of the situation is what I answered. Anything's better than what is happening right now. Anything will be better than what is happening right now. So that's been done. Ten Hag's era, as much as we enjoyed the highs, became untenable towards the end. I thank you, Erik, for all of the good memories, but it was time for a new challenge and a new chapter in Manchester United's future. Let me know what you guys think about the new management. Let me know who you think should be the new long-term manager at Manchester United. And does that mean green lights for Ineos? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.